So as the host mentioned, we were discussing the Asian market and in terms of Africa to Asia and the filmmaking nexus, a growing force of global cinema. I wonder if you guys can speak about the shift to Africa and Asia in terms of filmmaking, whether that be in terms of films produced or just the production side of things, co-productions, whatever you feel is most comfortable within your purview. I understand that Dr. Pushpinder, you are the CEO of the festivals, is that correct? Yeah? Of
Asian film.
Precisely, which I'm sure has a fairly large connection to the English as well as other speaking languages of India. I presume it's also Tamil as well as Hindi, is that correct? Does it cover all of them, or is it mostly... Okay, that's super, yeah. So I'd love to hear your perspective on where we're at in terms of production. Yeah, please.
It's working? Okay, pick it up. Hello. Hi. UK Asian Film Festival, organized by Tongues on Fire, is about working with South Asian, whole of South Asian population in UK, but we reach out globally, all the content that is on South Asian stories, South Asian connect, our heritage, then it goes on to lead to who we are, our identity, our place in the world. And
Absolutely.
That's always shifting within the political backdrop of immigrations and so much negativity, which affects the people who are legitimately settled there and trying to contribute.
Sure, I understand, absolutely. I should say that I'm currently working on a feature film with a Tamil producer, and we're looking at the South Asian market in terms of where to be looking for exhibition, and it's also going to be in Tamil as well as Telugu, so we're working on that, and we're engaging in that market quite significantly. But I should also mention Deepti, is that correct? Deepti, I understand that you are a producer and filmmaker. Can you speak to sort of the works you've been working on recently, or if you have anything coming out in the near future?
Hello, everyone. What a beautiful morning. Thank you for coming. I'm Deepti. I come from India. I've been in green lighting roles and I've been in senior executive roles in Viacom, Disney's, Sahara One, NFDC for 20 years, and I broke out independent last year. One of the highlight films that I was part of last year won at Cannes Film Festival, The Shameless. It broke records historically for the first Indian actor to ever win an award in 77 years of Cannes. And we also got the gold medal, which is called the Grand Prix at Annecy, which is almost like the Oscars of animation in the world, with Sultana's Dream, yet another native story, of pre-independent India, with Isabel, the Spanish director. So I am very keen on co-productions, and I see merit and strengths in co-productions in a very big way. Even though Bollywood, Indian film industry is pretty sustained, they can produce their films, consume their films, generate revenues, still travel in diaspora. But what I find beautiful about co-productions is that, you can break the diaspora and you can include international audiences to watch your local stories. What I have this year in Cannes are my 3 projects that I'm trying to mount. One is a crime thriller, very genre film, cross-cultural film between Canada and India, and an animation film all the way from New Zealand, Ireland, Germany and India already. And yeah, that's about it.
Thank you, that's great. And I also have Arun Kumar.
Arun Kumar,
super. The CEO and founding director of Soma Entertainment, as well as a director, producer, and writer in his own right. I wonder if you can speak sort of to dovetail into that, the co-production and any sort of particular policies or incentives that you've been able to take part of to create some of the films that you've worked on.
Well, hello everyone. The first movie I actually made was back in 2005 for Sahara Motion Pictures, which was a big studio in India. And at that time, I think the industry was very much Bollywood focused. But between then and now, and I've just come back from the Waves Entertainment Summit in Mumbai, which was last week, there's been a massive shift in the kinds of productions which are being made in India. And now the actual film industry there is much more diverse. It's not just Bollywood movies. There's a huge independent film sector, and the films which they're making there are as exciting, innovative and creative as films made in Europe and the States, rather than the traditional sort of song and dance kind of movies of Bollywood. So I think that's the biggest shift that's happened over the last few years, is the growth of that independent sector. And sort of trying to relate that to Africa, I think that's also relevant, because I think the kinds of films which are coming out of Africa, independent films, it's the same vein. It's stories which engage with people from a local level, local stories which have global kind of themes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I can also say that having recently got a master's in London Film School in international film development and business, I was shocked personally, and perhaps it's just my own ignorance, to see how many of the Chinese students or from the APAC region have consumed and voraciously consumed Indian cinema. And they could quote it all, they knew it all. So that just shows your point that it's being able to sort of break out of just the South Asian region. So, and I think, as you mentioned.
Yeah, it's also, I think, if you look at the streamers, if you look at Netflix, Amazon, a lot of the shows which are coming out of India, which are on the streamers, are being watched by people all over the world.
Surely. Absolutely. Now, I wanted to also speak to Sutherland. Is that correct? You are a CEO and founding investor of Photonica Incorporated and a managing partner at Ayers Nova Capital. And I wanted to understand, because you're from the USA, is that correct?
Yeah, originally. I'm based here in Europe.
Oh, okay, super. My main question was actually with regards to sort of funding streams, because as I understand it, most films in India, and perhaps I'd love to be corrected if so, are mostly done through the US model of sort of angel financing and sort of private equity, of course, yes. Is that the case? And how does that relate to any sort of partnerships in the US, or is it more about coordinating and networking?
Well, I think that our perspective and approach is a bit unique as opposed to, what's more conventionally done, because and Arun and I are partners as well with Ayers Nova, and we've been working together closer. Okay, Ayers Nova, and we've been partnered together for about 5 years. To get this right, directional, and we're building an international network of media production campuses, which will provide state-of-the-art and actually leapfrog technology for production facilities, for live-action sound stages, digital services. And so our approach for production is really kind of anchored on building a physical infrastructure network that's around the world.
Sure.
So that includes Africa, which will be an announcement tomorrow, and India, also an announcement tomorrow, and I just can't tell you more, and other places, and there's more than a dozen, and they're all very close. But our approach, because the current environment is more difficult in terms of private equity, raising large sums of private equity for pure content play, which was possible till recently, and would have happened earlier for us as well, is that having the anchor of the services and the infrastructure that does two things. One, it provides risk mitigation for content funding. So then people are saying, actually, we're buying kind of a complete studio. We're leveraging into a big complete studio. And so for the studio and its partners, you have that benefit as well. So the investors see the benefit, the partners see the benefit. And then our approach is extremely local for these facilities. So everywhere we do this, we have local partners. So in Africa, we have local partners. India, we have local partners. And every region, there isn't a region where we're not active. Now, having said that, putting these kinds of partnership approaches together are time-consuming, but the benefits are manifest. And so it flows over into all aspects of financing projects as well as the facilities. So as opposed to sort of big media companies, centralized, agglomerating, growing. It's coalition of companies growing as partnerships.
Sure.
And that's how we approach the facilities. So that provides, I think, a many ways a different anchor and a lot more options and confidence for private equity to invest. So it's not just the content they're buying to partners that are partnered together, and that is, I think, swimming with the flow of where people are seeing things have to go in the industry after, tremendous concentration, a lot of risk in the States in particular, but in general, everyone's learning lessons of what happened there. Yeah, and we're active. We have people in the team in the States, in Asia, and in Europe. So we're all over.
Okay. Very, very interesting stuff. And would you say that in terms of the infrastructure you're investing in and such, is that a sort of streamlined process, given the fact that you've already had the sort of boots on the ground and you're working with the local individuals? So it's quite streamlined in that respect?
Yeah, basically the prep time to get there is years, but then when things are ready, so that's so it's streamlined in the sense that now things can be efficient because you're anchor partners, you're working with local governments, you're working with national governments, and so you have all those pieces, but you're working with local partners. There's international that ties it together. We have technology from us and our globally branded technology partners, and so everyone who's local benefits from that.
Sure.
So it has become a template to some extent where it's, if you're working with one of these campuses in one country and you want to go to another place to do location shooting work there and want to have a studio, it will work the same way, right, in terms of the technology. But you're working with the local people so in terms of constructing these and operating these. So the international thing binds things together as part of the glue that binds it together.
Sure.
That keeps it streamlined.
Okay,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it does take a long time to get there. It wasn't so streamlined on the way, but
Sure.
that's very bespoke.
Once you
Every
lay the
step.
tracks, it
yeah,
just goes.
that
makes
part
sense.
is very,
Of course,
very
of course.
bespoke. Yeah.
For sure.
It's been years in the making.
Of course. I mean, that's infrastructure in general, of course. That's the nature of it. I was wondering if you guys could speak in terms of, I guess, the challenges that are seen for getting the films outside of South Asia and the sort of main obstacles for getting eyes on and in terms of distribution.
Okay, from UK Asian Film Festival's point of view, we are there to facilitate demystifying all these treaties and for the individual, because I think it's such a challenge to jump the hoops, different structures,
Sure.
different mindsets, and negotiating it all. So that's the first step, to get them on the ladder, how to do it, holding their hands to get them through. To this cross-cultural thing is actually difficult because people come from a different standpoint,
Sure.
but they've got stories to tell that has a wider global appeal, and that's what we are there for. And so the festival actually facilitate that on all levels, distribution, networking opportunities for on a level that's right across grassroots to establish
Sure.
filmmakers.
Okay, absolutely, absolutely. And perhaps, Deepti, you can speak to this next question, and that's just in terms of eyes on for most European, and I guess you could say generally Western films, there's this idea that a lot of the star focus comes from the States, and that the sort of the best films, the most seen, the most popular and trend-setting films are often imploring and implementing American actors for their content. But in terms of India, do you find that that region in particular for filmmaking is able to make use and better use its actors, its local actors for its population, and in terms of also breaking out? Or is there any level of sort of bringing in other South Asian or Chinese actors and creators involved?
I mean, you said it. Hollywood stars are just not big in US. They've now become international, and all countries consume them. Having said that, I don't see any Indian big star fighting to do a Hollywood film because they're going to be given a role in that film. They're not going to be pivotal,
Understood.
and they're not willing to change that space. We are a very, very large country. I'm a little arrogant about it that we have so much of consumption that I don't think we need to look outside. But if we need to, we've done films. I mean, Aishwarya Rai is gone and ventured out. Our little Priyanka Chopra is still making waves. They're doing what they're best at without compromising, without losing their sheen, and they've been pretty successful. And we have our local singing star now world over, Diljit. I mean, he's making waves. Currently, I mean, he's a heartthrob with diaspora, but what I saw in the concerts, I mean, he's liked by international people as well. And so, yeah, it may look like, but it's a fact. Stardom does, take over.
Sure.
And, they're not going to play it small anywhere. So if they're going to go to another country and start getting a role in that film, they're not going to go there. They
Oh,
don't
I
need
understand.
that. Coming to, I wanted to bring out something about African Star. We have one African star in India now.
Oh, super. Nice.
Yeah. And his film is releasing on 23rd of May. And it's a Nigerian star. And he's made it very big in South.
Super. Pick up
And,
Nigeria.
Yeah, it's called Dilli Dark. You should watch it. I can play I can show you the poster here. And he's already that's his third film.
Oh, wow. Super.
In India. So, there are people, those who are trying to come inside India now, even internationally. I won't be surprised if we've had Hollywood collaborations. We've had actors coming and acting in our films,
Sure.
Doing prime roles and stuff like that. But of course, we are a very language-driven film.
Sure.
We love English and we all speak in English. But when it comes to stories, I think we're a little more personal. And so we remain within our 29 languages, which is a lot anyway. And so if somebody can't speak that language, he's going to be a foreigner in the film.
Sure,
But
sure.
this Nigerian boy has cracked it. He speaks languages in India.
Oh, well done, well
so
done.
yeah, he's very cute. So, I mean, that's my answer.
That's super. I mean, perfect answer for sure. I can only say that the individuals I was working with in London Film School, one of whom is a producer and her husband is a famous director. I wish I had his name in India. They were once describing what they do at a panel of sorts, and someone said that it was a double-edged sword that India doesn't often need to go out. And I was like, why is that a double-edged sword? It's just a positive, as you mentioned. I mean, the benefits of being able to stay in the region, to be able to have the language and not to be otherized in so many ways for the traditional medium, as is often the case. But yeah, I wonder if you guys can speak to any sort of obstacles you've experienced in terms of co-production, whether it be through language or any sort of logistics therein, which has been a hindrance to filmmaking or generally finding funding for films.
Well, going back to the first film that I made in India, at that time, the actual filmmaking process there was very different. It was much less structured, much less organized, and extremely stressful, if I'm honest.
Sure.
But that is all now changed, and the industry there, as I said before, has evolved to become much more to an international standard, both in the way productions are made and planned, and also in the actual production values of the content. The problems that filmmakers have there, I think. Dr. Pushpinder, is it? Dr. Pushpinder, you mentioned this before, is that, as I said, I was at Waves and I met a lot of filmmakers who got their films complete, but they didn't really know the whole way, the method of getting it out to the world. They didn't know about taking them to festivals. They didn't know about coming to a place like this. It's very daunting and also expensive for people to kind of make that trip and make that journey. So they also didn't really know about how to approach a sales agent, or in a lot of cases how to actually in 2 or 3 lines pitch your film, because in India, if you say pitch your project, they basically tell you the whole story. I mean, that's what a film pitch means there. Whereas everywhere else it means, just tell us what it's about.
Log line and such.
Yeah, exactly. So there's all these cultural and differences which have to be overcome, I think.
Surely. And may I ask...
And are being overcome.
Yeah,
Because
surely.
people, it's an evolving industry. As I said, it's evolving.
That's wonderful. And would you say that in terms of that evolution, is it just practice? Is it just literally it happening, or are there any individuals or companies that are in place to sort of? Oh, sure. To sort of, yeah, for sure. Take it, please.
So, India actually runs, Arun, you should come for Film Bazaar. Personal invite, I'm calling you. So, there is Film Bazaar. There is a, Indian market, which is the largest in Southeast Asia. Competes way before Film Art, Hong Kong. And there are curated projects, and I can give you 4,000 filmmakers, those who now know how to pitch, owing to the market. We have co-production, conferences where we teach how to work well with European producers.
Sure.
And there is IFI, MAMI, they run parallel programs trying to train producers and directors about it. And it's the independent space. It doesn't get highlighted. But trust me, the community is so strong. And that's the community that comes to Cannes.
Super, absolutely. I think Dr. Pushpinder wants to chime in as well.
I just want to pitch in. UK, India had a co-production treaty for last 15 years, and it's only recently the first film came out. So it does make the point, right from the beginning, that how we need to engage with this structure, and they do need help. Yeah, they do need help.
Yeah, that's I think one of the big things which came out of the whole Waves conference last week, because they had people from all over the world there, meeting after meeting with independent filmmakers, like a little bit like Film Bazaar you're describing, but that was our role there. Was just I did. I was doing like 25 meetings a day, which almost killed me. But I mean, that's.
But it's important, even on a very small scale, that our festival, right from the day one, had been showing British, Asian, Afro-Caribbean films. And Baby Mother was the first one.
I remember that. It
was a groundbreaking film. Till this festival last week, we celebrated Biddu because of his soul music and connection from Brixton to Bollywood journey the other way. So, and all the other films in between, like Meera Nair's Mississippi Masala. So this heritage and connection needs to have a place and a platform.
Absolutely. That's very well said. And I appreciate, I was trying to find the director, sorry, I was pulling up there, but I appreciate that that this space is ever evolving, growing, and obviously still being led by Indian producers and creators. I find it interesting, the sort of phrase, the question rather that I asked earlier was if there's a need to pull other people in, but it sounds like what I'm picking up is that there's more knocking on the door and being asked to be let in, which I think is a wonderful perspective change. But if I could just wrap up by asking each person here in about 35 or 45 seconds to have a message of hope for filmmakers and people who want to work with films in India, as well as in co-production or whatever capacity. Just 30 seconds or so, starting with yourself, Sutherland, for hope, if that's right.
Well, I mean, I think our message is that we believe in the interchange of technology and methods and the training and everything. I was 20 years a senior executive in Hollywood at major studios and been based in Europe. The deliberate strategy is set up something international to do work in all markets. And so we're on the theme of Afrocentrism. We're very excited to bring technology to Africa for the studio. It's leapfrog, and the same thing for India. And the links between these hubs are going to create linkages between creators because we're putting the tools in their hands. I think that's hopeful.
Super.
I'd say just go to India, meet filmmakers there, hear their stories and collaborate.
Absolutely.
Well, we have shared heritage, shared history, so these stories are international, so of course it makes sense to work together.
Absolutely.
You know, there was Razia Sultan in 1987, which portrayed an African slave, which was played by Dharminder. From 1987 to Delhi Dark Visits 2025, there are a lot of attempts that have been made. I mean, show your love, watch the films that are getting done there, and you'll know how to make it there.
Absolutely. So visit India and, sorry, yes. Well done, everyone. Applause, please, please. That's fine. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to have a question from the audience.
Thank you. I'm curious about the fact. We're Italians, me and that lady down there. We produce a sports investigation series, procedural, sport crime. There's basically an agency located in Lugano which investigates. We have one of the main characters is a Congolese, a Swiss Congolese. So we proud ourselves to have loads of African humor, and he's very proud. He jokes a lot about his blackitude. It's very religious, but he loves to be funny about himself, and that's gets people crazy about that. I'm curious about one fact: why African countries are so lazy to answer and to be open to distribute a foreign series. Is there any reason for that? If I want to talk to a French distributor, you know, he has contracts and things that I don't follow, I don't understand, but I know who he has to talk to. When you try to do the same with an African country, you get lost. They love the product and get lost. That's a mystery from Africa that I bring with myself since a few years. If anyone has even a bit of an explanation, that would be a help. Thank you. I'm Luca. Say it again, please.
I'd rather not. I'd rather not.
Why on the receiving end of a local distributor, be it Nigerian, for example, Daniela, what other examples might we have? Kenyan, African in general, they don't answer, they don't take in consideration an international TV series. What's wrong? What's the problem? What's different that I
Well,
don't
have you tried South Africa, though? What about South Africa?
South Africa is a different thing because we are rugby people, so we have a direct channel there, and we're working very well with them. It's a bit too soon, but it's coming anyway. Being a former rugby player myself, and Daniela also plays, commentators, so on, this is a different story. So, sorry, I should say, I was speaking not about South Africa or Northern Africa, but Central East Africa.
So I can just say personally, from what I've experienced in trying to make a film in South Africa and getting a feel for the landscape is just a lack of infrastructure. I mean, South Africa has the strongest market in sub-Saharan Africa, and if you're avoiding Northern Africa and South Africa as a country, then yeah, there's going to be some infrastructural issues there, whether that be connectivity or just general practices. I mean, information as well. I mean, we mentioned it in terms of non-Indians working in the system or Indians trying to pitch. It's about coaching. It's about understanding. It's about understanding local practices and just accommodating those practices. And unfortunately, the infrastructure is not yet there, but it's definitely growing. I mean, in Nigeria, you've got wonderful films. You've got Ghana, and not unfortunately, but it's just the fact that South Africa is dominating in terms of its presence and its infrastructure, for perhaps obvious reasons, but yes.
Because when it comes to the distribution infrastructure in sub-Saharan Africa, all right, it depends what type of distribution. If you're talking now about TV series, all right, as we know, what Amazon was in Nigeria for some time, and they left. And then you had Netflix, who's currently cutting off budget for producing content. All right. However, I think that the best way to reach out to distributors in Nigeria, for example, Ghana, Kenya, and so on and so forth, it's actually to go there and to meet people. Some of them are here and to discuss, because it might not be the best way to have like a blanket perspective on distribution on TV if you haven't been able to meet with the people and or because they're all here. Because the TV series, you have a host of Ivorian people here who are the strongest TV and series market in Francophone Africa. So if you, yes.
I'll just add, there is Discope that used to be South Africa and Africa-centric. It shut down just last 2 years, but Discope was the biggest market that we all used to go to look for African content. So it is there. It's just that if Discope is missing, something must be coming up.
And furthermore, I should just say that obviously, Prudence mentioned that Amazon is leaving places like South Africa, has left apparently, and there's a market to be filled there. We've seen Showmax cannibalizing some of that in South Africa. Multiple places are doing it, but it's the nature of the industry itself. But it's definitely growing, and there's definitely people here who can help to connect. We just have one more person.
Well, I wanted to add one.
Yeah,
wanted to add one. Oh, go
may I
ahead.
say something? Yeah. I'm Alex Ogo. I'm director and producer in Ivory Coast, mainly for TV series. And what I can say, if you want to penetrate the market on the French-speaking side, you have also Canal Plus. You have also Canal Plus with for distributor. I mean, you are looking for a distributor for TV series. Yeah. You have also Canal Plus on the French-speaking market, and I think I can tell you in a few months, maybe at the end of the year or next year, Canal Plus is buying multi-choice, so they'll be covering all Africa, French-speaking and English-speaking. So I think it will be a great force, for us, for people who are looking for distributors for series, to also being able to be screened on French side and Anglophone side. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. But I should just say, we are going to have a distribution panel up next, so I'd recommend sitting in for that as well. But we have one more comment we'd like to have for Sutherland, please.
Well, I just wanted to add briefly, I think that one of the things that facilitates these interchanges so that people understand how they need to interface is creating these marketplaces and these essentially like permanent marketplaces that, not to overstay our message, studio sound stages and production cinema cities and film cities, these kinds of things, and we're working to build those state-of-the-art, are ongoing places for people to meet and to learn and to communicate. And the more the infrastructure is upgraded all over Africa, whatever we do, whatever others will do, is going to create points to make it easier for people to get to meet and to facilitate interchange between countries and between different language groups and the international too. So we're looking forward to contributing to that. I think that's something that really makes a difference why Hollywood does so well and has done so well. Hyper-concentrated number of it's like little mini cities of people are there with them all the time just doing business constantly. And so if you can replicate that even in smaller but very effective ways, you are getting the benefits of the infrastructure and much greater connectivity.
Super. With that, I think there was one more question. Yes, of course,
Yes.
from Yodit.
Yes. I have a question for Deepti. So as an African director, if I want to collaborate with an Indian filmmakers and or production, is it open for people from Africa to collaborate with India? And how does we go about that?
There'll be a call of application for Film Bazaar now in August. I can put that link on this group that Prudence has created. Just log in. Everything is there. You can always come to India. There's a brand ambassador for bringing Africa to India, which is Namaste Balala, the series or the movie that is there on Netflix. And I think her name is Hamisha Ahuja. She lives in Nigeria. She's an Indian championing, the collaborations and co-productions. And in India, there is this guy, who's brought this film. And you will meet all of them in Film Bazaar when you get there.
Thank you.
Super. Well, thank you guys for your time. Could we please have a round of applause for the speakers? 2 rounds of applause. Well done. Of course, no, thank you all.